Welcome to my channel. Support our channel by subscribing. Your subscription helps us grow and create more intriguing content like this. Now, let's dive into today's story. Fiancé secretly invited his ex to our wedding. Then I found out he had multiple fake accounts to stalk her. I, 23F, Clara, am getting married in January to my fiancé, Daniel, 25M. At least that was the plan until I uncovered something that's left me questioning everything. Daniel secretly invited his ex-situationship, Sophie, 22F, to our wedding without telling me. Daniel and I met on a dating app 2 years ago, just a few months after he ended things with Sophie. From the beginning, Daniel was upfront about his past. He said he and Sophie never officially dated or slept together, but admitted their connection was deeper than a typical friendship. They met through a mutual friend and quickly became close, exchanging gifts, love letters, and spending holidays together. Their situationship ended because, according to Daniel, Sophie wanted to focus on herself. But what makes this all so confusing is that he never seemed to truly let her go. Despite her blocking him everywhere except email after we started dating, he's kept her letters and gifts and occasionally brings her up in conversation. What I discovered recently has shaken me to my core. While reviewing our wedding guest list, I noticed Sophie's name. I thought it must have been a mistake since I hadn't approved it. But no, it wasn't a mistake. Daniel had sent her an invitation behind my back. When I confronted him, he shrugged it off, saying it wasn't a big deal and that he just wanted her to see he was happy and doing well. He insisted he had no lingering feelings for her, but the secrecy of it all left me reeling. At first, I tried to convince myself that I was overreacting. After all, Sophie is in a new relationship and even expecting her first child. Surely she wouldn't pose a threat to us, right? But deep down, the fact that Daniel went behind my back made me question whether he'd ever truly moved on from her. I decided to bring this up with a few close friends. Their reactions were eye-opening. One friend said, "He's probably not over her. She might be the one who got away for him. If I were you, I'd have a serious talk with him about this." Another bluntly said, "The fact that he didn't tell you means he cares more about her presence at the wedding than your comfort. That's a huge red flag." Hearing this made me feel both validated and terrified. I wanted to believe Daniel was committed to me, but his actions told a different story. Still unsure what to think, I reached out to Daniel's best friend, Alex, 24 million, hoping for clarity. Alex was hesitant at first, but eventually opened up about Daniel and Sophie's past. According to Alex, Sophie and Daniel met when she was just 17 and he was finishing college. They stayed friends for 2 years, during which time their feelings for each other grew. Daniel adored Sophie, but decided not to pursue an official relationship because she was still so young and focused on school. Their relationship was full of romantic gestures. Daniel wrote her letters, gave her expensive gifts, and took her on trips. Alex said everyone thought they'd end up together. But their connection hit a roadblock when Sophie decided she wanted to save herself for marriage. Daniel wasn't on the same page, and they ultimately parted ways. When Daniel and I started dating, Sophie found out and blocked him everywhere except email. Alex explained that Daniel had been heartbroken, but hoped that one day Sophie would come back to him. With this new information, I confronted Daniel again. I asked him outright if he still had feelings for Sophie. At first, he denied it, saying I was being insecure. But when I pressed him further, he broke down. Daniel admitted that he had never loved anyone the way he loved Sophie. He described their relationship as pure and innocent, and said it reminded him that not everything in life is about physical desire. Hearing this shattered me. When I asked why he invited Sophie to the wedding, his answer stunned me. He said he wanted her to see him happy, to realize what she'd lost. He claimed he needed closure, but something wasn't adding up. How did he even know Sophie was pregnant if she'd blocked him everywhere? That's when Daniel's story began to unravel. After some hesitation, he admitted he had been using fake social media accounts to stalk Sophie. My stomach turned as he confessed to creating over 5 accounts, complete with fake names, photos, and followers, to spy on her. He had been doing this for years, long before we got engaged. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The man I was about to marry had been obsessively monitoring another woman's life while pretending to love me. I told him I couldn't marry someone who was still emotionally attached to his past. My parents stepped in to help cancel the wedding, and I moved out of the apartment we shared. Daniel begged me to reconsider, claiming he loved me in a different but equally meaningful way. But his actions spoke louder than his words. His obsession with Sophie, his secrecy, and his entitlement to her attention were too much for me to ignore. A few days later, I decided to contact Sophie. I felt she needed to know about Daniel's fake accounts and obsessive behavior. We met at a cafe, and to my surprise, Sophie was kind and understanding. She apologized for any pain her connection to Daniel had caused me, though I assured her it wasn't her fault. Sophie shared her side of the story, and it was eye-opening. She admitted that Daniel had been her first love and that she had initially wanted to be with him. But over time, his constant pressure to become physical and his controlling tendencies made her uncomfortable. She broke things off and blocked him to move on with her life. When I told her about the fake accounts, Sophie was horrified. She hadn't realized how far Daniel had gone to keep tabs on her. She immediately made her social media private and even considered filing a report. This entire experience has been devastating, but it's also been a wake-up call. Love isn't about control, obsession, or living in the past. It's about trust and respect. I'm heartbroken, but I'm also relieved that I discovered the truth before it was too late. I deserve a partner who is fully committed to me, not someone who's still chasing a fantasy from their past. Thank you for taking the time to read this story. If you have any thoughts or feedback, feel free to share.